Warning! The following podcast may contain language and subject matter not suitable for all ages or everyone. If you don't like what you're listening to, please press stop. You're tuned into K-Pod. It's Life in Korea with your hosts, Scott, Adam, and Phil.
It's K-Pod, Life in Korea. I'm one of the hosts, Scott, and sitting across from me is Phil. Phil, how's things?
Wonderful, Scott.
And this week, Adam's away in Canada.
Happy birthday, Adam.
Yeah, it's his birthday, I think today,
Yeah.
Yeah. And this week, we got another guest on the show. We have Sean White, who's from USA.
That's true. I'm from USA.
You don't sound like it.
I know I don't. So I'm active Navy here in JinHae, South Korea. And I grew up in a Scotch town, in Indiana. And yeah, so I guess just that influence, until I was a wee lad, about 8. And then I went to public schools and everything. But that little section of the town was all Celtic, So you had Scotch, Irish, English, Welsh, Isle of Man, Manx, and Shetland. And we all kind of grew up together. So that's how I sound how I am. Plus my dad and my granddad, they're both Scotch. So, there's that.
So you're from the U.S. Whereabouts in the U.S.?
South Bend, Indiana, actually. Yeah.
I guess go Notre Dame.
Yeah, it's true. Blue, bleeding gold, man.
Yeah.
Blue, bleeding gold.
Play like a champion.
What?
Play like a champion.
Play like a champion, yeah.
I have no idea exactly where that is, but...
it's about 10 miles south of the Michigan border from Niles.
Okay.
Yeah. It's right. It's like right on the border.
Right on the border
of Indiana and Michigan.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know Michigan, but no idea about Indiana.
It's all good.
It's mostly corn and flatland anyways. There's not much to really see there anymore.
So how long have you been in Korea?
About 6.5 months. Yeah. It's been a good time.
So you're a newbie here.
I suppose so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Generally,
What brought you here?
It's Navy. I selected these orders. It's between JinHae, South Korea, or Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. And I picked South Korea just because I'm a fair-skinned folk and I don't fare well in the sun.
Nah. You and Scott.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'm no kidding, man.
So your accent, it comes in thicker sometimes.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
All right, so when I was 8, my granddad just passed and my dad remarried this girl down the road, about 2.5 miles.
Yeah.
And when he remarried, we started going to a different school, different kids. It was a public school versus a private school. And my dad, he was just like, listen, boy, he was talking to my sister and I. He was like, I don't want you to be different. The boys and girls are going to pick on you, throughout school. And
Why would they pick on you?
just because we're different. And that was true. I can remember everything since when I was the boy. And I always got picked on because of my accent, because I was different, where'd you come from, this, that, and the other. I had to say the same story every now and again, And it was true, My dad, he hit it right in the head. So he put my sister and I through speech therapy for about 2.5 years. And we were able to develop this mask, a facade, if you will, to be able to speak with enunciated vowels and consonants.
So do you have a different accent? Like, can you do a...
This is my Midwestern accent.
Your Midwestern?
My Midwestern, yes.
Yeah.
This is so I could survive.
Yeah.
For most of the time at work, this is how I sound. Because I get judged and scrutinized and made fun of, and everyone just keeps talking about it and asking me questions, and I don't know, I'd rather not deal with it. So I kind of put this on. And then when I slip up and people kind of like squint their eyes at me, they're like, wait, like where are you from? And then I'm like, oh. So I have to go into it all over again,
Yeah.
So it's like it's successful in half the time, I'd say, but now I have no filter. This is just me how it is.
I feel like you have a lovely accent.
I appreciate it, lad. Thanks, man.
How long have you been playing the guitar?
I've been playing for about 16 years now. I started playing when I was about 11, and it was my mother's guitar that my father bought her when they were still together, and it was pretty much just a piece of driftwood with strings. It was shite guitar. I can't even. It's a Goya. A Goya was made by Martin. It was like one of the subdivisions, type deal. It was a shitty guitar, and I played that for about 11 years. And then Mum, she bought me this Breedlove.
What's that?
A Breedlove is you have Breedlove and the man who made Breedlove, and then the man who made Breedlove has a brother, and they both used to work for Taylor Guitars.
Okay.
Which I actually have a Taylor now. I sold the Breedlove and bought a Taylor on my own. My mom bought me the Breedlove about, I was 17, 27 now, so about 10 years ago. And when I started playing it, the action was just right, like the strings were perfect, the body was perfect, and everything that I had been stuck on playing just kind of exploded with creativity because I could do so much more. So from 11 until 17, I was kind of stunted. But as soon as she got me this guitar that was set up right, had the right action, had the right everything, not warped or anything like that, 'cause it was perfect. And then I started really getting into harmonics and tap percussion and everything like that, and alternate tunings. And so I was playing that guitar for quite some time. And then when a couple of years later, when I came back from Afghanistan, I ended up purchasing a Taylor 514, and that was just kind of my thing. I didn't want a Fender, I didn't want a Gibson, I didn't want anything really except for this Taylor. It was the one
true guitar.
The one true guitar that spoke out to me,
Right.
And so I played probably 30 of them, in that one day. And the man who sold it to me was just like, what about this one? And it was the last one that I played. And I was just like, oh, it feels right. It sounds right. I tried all the harmonics. I tried the tap percussion. I tried everything. I bought an amp, with an extension cabinet to kind of supplement, so I could split the two cabs apart, and then I could angle one towards me and angle one towards the crowd. And it was perfect. It was like peanut butter and jelly. Yeah, really, it was.
Bacon and eggs.
It was like peas and carrots.
Peas and carrots.
All right, so you recorded a couple songs for us today.
Yeah.
What was the name of the first song that you did?
The first song I played was Lessons Learned, and that was Lessons Learned, with the question mark. So
what was that about?
So I was, since I came to Korea, I don't know many people, and I met this girl. We started chit-chatting for about a couple of weeks, and then a couple of weeks turned into about a month, and then we eventually met. And when we met, it was great. Everything was fine. And then we started seeing each other. We were dating for about 3 months, and things were kind of up and down, just between I guess personalities, if you will. And then I met this other girl, and I was actually pretty happy. And yeah, everyone listening, I know, brace yourselves, winter's coming. No. So I made a mistake. I saw this other girl, and I saw this outlet for what I thought happiness should feel like. I was actually happy. Nothing in the way. The other girl had, depressive problems and issues like that and everything, and they kind of weighed down on me pretty heavy. And then I told myself everything was all right. It's all right. Just stick through it. It'll be all right. And she's a good girl. But then I myself started to kind of go down. And so when I saw this other girl, I met this other girl, we hit it off. And I ended up stepping outside of the boundaries of one relationship when I was already kind of mentally and emotionally checking out into another. And it wasn't quite complete yet.
Too soon, right?
What's that?
Was it too soon?
Yeah, I'd say. And so things were going pretty fast with the first one, and I was just hang on now. I'm not really too sure about this. But me being who I am, I had some problems with communication. So I guess everything was just kind of hunky-dory, and everything was good, it was good and fine and whatever. So this other girl and I started seeing each other for about a week, and one day, the girl who I was seeing for about 3 months, she ended up coming over at midnight. She lived up in Yangsan. And the girl I was seeing, the other girl, the Korean girl, was from Masan. And the girl from Yangsan, she knew something was up. She just felt it. And so I was spending time with the girl from, the intercity. And they ended up kind of meeting. The girl from Yangsan came to my house. And
Crossroads.
Yeah, it was pretty much like that. The Korean girl that I was seeing was walking down the staircase. And my girl of like 3 months was just kind of like watching her walk down the staircase, and then she opened the door, and then they both came up to my apartment. Afterwards, they kind of had a chit chat, I guess, and then like I was in bed, and I heard voices at the door. I live on the 3rd floor, by the way, of this house, and I open my door, and I see them both in the doorway of the front door, and I'm standing in my boxers, and I'm just like,
That's got to be.
all I said
It's gonna be
was,
crushing, right?
all I said, like I had my heart in my throat, and I was just like, good evening.
Alfred Hitchcock.
Yeah.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So this was all, you wrote this in Korea then?
Yeah, I did. It was literally like a day or two after that whole incident happened, you know, like everything kind of fell apart. I lost both people, you know, and I lost a bunch of friends in the pursuit, you know, of like my efforts, if you will. And
How long did it take you to write the song?
it literally took me maybe 30 to 40 minutes. I like to write. I may not be able to put music to the words, but I can write. I can write poetry for what it is. You know, I can...
So did you already have the melody in mind? Or
No, not at all.
You had the words first?
I had the words first.
Okay.
And then usually it's how it goes. I had the words first, and then I ended up kind of like stumbling across this tune I was just playing around with, and it fit, you know, just like the first song I ever wrote. It fit.
That was the
perfectly.
first song.
The first song I wrote, the first song that I played, tonight was
Okay.
the song that happened here in Korea, and the second song I played tonight was the first song I ever wrote. Yeah.
So what's the name of the song that you wrote, the first song?
The first song here in Korea, or the first song? Oh, here in Korea was it Lessons Learned.
With the question mark.
With the question mark, yeah. Like lessons learned? Did I really learn a lesson? You know, because like people tend to...
Do we ever learn lessons?
That is the point. That was the point. Do we ever learn lessons? Because
Do we fall back in?
someone, actually the girl that I was dating for 3 months, she told me, she was like, you can't keep living your life leaving a path of destruction behind you. And so that kind of hit me, and I was just like, yeah, you're right. And so it took me to look around and look behind myself, and I saw all of the wreckage and the path of destruction that I guess I had kind of built for myself, or made for myself. Not really building. You can't really.
Well, I
build
mean, like,
destruction.
I guess we all leave a wreckage behind us, but we don't realize it.
Right, and it's all upon ourselves to learn from the lesson.
I don't.
You understand your wreckage, right?
No wreckage.
No wreckage.
Anyway, this is Lessons Learned
Lessons
by
learned.
Sean White.
Ask me.
So we'll
Question mark.
question mark. We'll check it out.
And I know this is the end, and I did this to a friend, and I did this to myself. So I'll go and I'll pack my bags and put my heart on the shelf. Now you have nothing left to lose, and you took a chance with me and ended up with a bruise. I can't say I'm sorry enough, but you'll take one look at me and call me on my bluff. The these hazel eyes have told their lies, burned the bridge and cut a tie. But all I want for you is to be happy. I was way too wrong for you. You were too good to be true. I put your heart through a blender, and now I look for the next contender. Thank you.
All right, that was Lessons Learned by Shaun White. Shawn Michaels.
Aye, that's me. No S, just Shawn Michael White.
No, Shawn Michaels. Heartbreak Kid.
Oh, jeez. And I snowboard. Oh, what else do you want?
Yeah.
I donated my locks to
Wait.
Locks of Love, I guess.
Yeah. I did too, back in the day.
Did you really?
Yeah.
I didn't. I just lost my hair.
Nah.
Yeah. I went bald between a bad marriage and then being in the desert and stress. The Navy will do that to you.
All right, so you said you're here in South Korea with the Navy.
Indefinitely.
What got you into the Navy?
Well, my parents met in the Navy, actually. And
They were both in the Navy?
they
or-
were, yeah.
Oh,
My
okay.
dad retired, my mum got out early. And so I guess with that upbringing, and I always heard the stories of my dad, talking about his like fruits of the labor, while he's in the Navy and all the cool stories, as a boy, things I probably shouldn't have heard. I was in school and both my sisters, they brilliant girls, really, really fucking smart, really smart. And I was more technical, like with my hands. They're book smart. I'm definitely more like manual labor, like technically apt. So I guess the analogy I had was, they have golden minds and silver hands, but I have a golden hand and a silver mind. If you go into that like level of degradation.
Maybe bronze mind.
Whatever. Things tarnish over time, yeah.
Right.
But so my dad told me he was like, join the military, and I already had
So
that.
your father was in the military and he told
Yes.
you to join the military.
Yeah.
My father was in the military. He was Army. Do not join the military.
He told me to join the military just for school. He's like, you have free college and you get to travel the world. You learn a trade. He's like, learn a trade. He's like, you don't want to go to school for underwater basket weaving, and waste a bunch of money. And that,
Right.
And so I was like, you're right. And he's like, said, construction and medical, both of those things will always be needed in this world. And so when I went to the processing center, they offered me 2 jobs, a dental tech or utilities. My dad told me, he's like, hey, if they offer you CB, take it.
CB?
And I was like, what's a CB? And he's like, it's construction. CB stands for Construction Battalion.
Okay.
So Walt Disney actually depicted the image of a CB, a United States Navy CB. And it's this little cartoon bee with a hammer and a wrench and a machine gun.
Okay.
There. So the guy at the processing center was like, you have 2 rates. You struck for 2. He's like, DT or UT? I was like, what's a DT? I was like, it's a dental tech. I was like, dental tech? Okay, dentist. All right, cool. And I was like, what's a UT? And I was like, it's a CB. And I said, I'll take it. So here I am, 9 years later.
How'd you choose, like, say, between Navy, Army, I don't know,
Air
the
Force.
others? Air Force.
He told me he'd break my legs.
If it wasn't Navy?
Oh, he was like, so he was Navy, and he said it.
How would he broken your legs?
He's not a big man, but he's got the old man strength. He's my dad. I ain't gonna put nothing past him.
Nah.
Old Scotch bastard. But no, he was like, I use this term loosely, this phrase. He's like, anyone can be a bullet sponge. Use your fucking head, boy. And so that struck at Marines, and that struck at Army. So if I was in either of those, I might have been in the Civil Engineer Corps in both of those branches, but I struck Navy, and that was the first place I went to, because I was like, I'm just going to go Navy. My dad was in the Navy, Mum was in the Navy, I'm going to be in the Navy. So, it was just kind of like, it made sense, So I struck for CB, I took it, and 9 years later, I went through Virginia for 3.5 years. I was logistical support and construction support and combat support for Naval Special Warfare, and then bumped past 3.5 years, and I was in conventional Navy, I guess, construction battalion for about 3.5 years. And in transit, I was in training and whatnot. So equal up. Now here, I'm just a public works engineer type deal here in Korea for hopefully about 3 years. Been there about 6.5 months. I got 2.5 more to go. Yeah.
How do you find yourself in Korea? Likes, dislikes?
I love it. So, funny thing, before my dad met my mother, he had a Korean wife, actually, when he was here in Korea, because he worked on aircraft. And so that being said, when I was growing up and I was just a boy, he would always make these, cuisines and these dishes from Guam and from Korea and from the Philippines, because he was all over the Orient for about 13 years. And so I grew up on kimchi, I grew up on kalbi and bulgogi, and I grew up on all that stuff, and so I didn't learn language until I was almost coming to here, about 3 months from me checking in. I started learning my first Korean phrases and words and salutations, if you will. But as far as the food goes, I love it. I grew up on it.
You have a favorite dish?
Ooh, that's a tough one. So my dad, he and I actually have our own family galbi recipe.
Ooh.
Yeah. You
gotta share this on the website.
I can make some mean galbi.
You're gonna have to make me some galbi.
You know what? Come on over. We'll fucking cook out.
Yeah. We're neighbors, by the way.
That's true. We're about, $3 away?
Yeah.
So and so. But no, yeah. So I love Korean food.
Scott loves fish.
I had blowfish yesterday.
Scott loves fish.
Pause.
He's allergic to fish. I try to sneak him fish shots.
Oh, God. Gotta kill him.
Well, I mean, we have this give and take. He tries to kill me, I try to kill him.
That's
one
a
of these
lovely
days,
relationship.
yeah, there can only be one.
Highlander.
And it's definitely the older one.
He's old for a reason.
Yeah.
He survived.
He survived.
So you said you did spend time in, was it Iraq?
I've been to Iraq for 6 months and Afghanistan for 8.5.
And you wrote a song, maybe, based on Iraq?
Yep. So that was my first deployment. I was 20 at the time, and I was married. I got married young, and
How old were you?
I was 19 or 20 when I got married.
Jesus.
I know. That's the thing, though, in the military, is that your life it's on fast pace. It's fast forward.
It's like military culture.
Yeah, it is. Unfortunately, it's just it's bad. It's not really that great, because you have all these boys, these kids that are getting married, myself included, and it's because their life is so quick, it's so fast, and if you don't make the best of it, if you don't make that decision to do something, you're gonna regret it. So kids end up getting married, having children and whatnot, and at a very young age, and people like civilians. I say civilians because they're not in the military. They don't do that. They wait until they're late 20s, early 30s.
Right.
Yeah.
45.
Still single. So I let him listen. My dad's been married about 5 times. It's a shame to say, but it's true. So I don't want to follow in that footsteps.
That pattern.
Yeah, so I'm just kind of back out to that and just kind of do my thing until I end up getting out and can actually live a steady life.
So what's the name of the second song that we played?
I'd give it all up for this.
And that was based on what?
So when I was in Afghan, the woman I was married to at the time, being my first deployment, it was pretty rough. And really rough. Things were popping off left and right. And it was too much for me at that age. I wasn't ready for it. I don't really think anyone ever is.
To be married that young? No,
not to be married that young. And just all the stresses, the violence and being over there and the Middle East and all of those experiences, the fast-paced life, just constantly up for 16, 18-hour days, just going non-stop. And the ironic part was I was installing air conditioning units in 130-degree weather.
Once the air conditioning gets fixed, you have to leave. It's hot as fuck.
Yeah.
And then,
yeah.
It's fixed. Go to another hot place.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But,
Jesus.
So, being in the Middle East, you can imagine things weren't that, they weren't
ideal.
Yeah, exactly. Just use imagination. Yeah, watch a military movie, if you will. You'll get the idea. Yeah, it's shit.
No one appreciates you.
So the song name is "I Give It All Up."
I'd give it all up for this.
All right, so let's check out this song by Shaun White.
This way on my shoulders, such a crushing feeling as if my heart grew wings. I'm broken down, left me kneeling, shattered bones, a hole through my chest. A vortex of air. This is what love really feels like. With one last breath I have to save. Did we make this such splendid bliss? We dance in euphoric state of mind. May I stop time, but only for a second, to hold on to this. It's getting hard, baby, don't let go. I've got you just to let you know. Did we make this such splendid bliss? That second that I'm holding on to, just for one last kiss. Steel striking stone, sparks erupt into the air. I forged this world. I thought I'd be alone forever. It takes two to dance, so let's go and see the time again. But only for a second, and I watch the candlelight dance across your skin. Trust me when I say I give it all up for this. If these moments with you will last forever, I'll be a knight in shining armor, always there to save you. Somehow, always one step behind. You'll always be in my mind. Now it's time to go. I'm running out of lines, but one thing is for sure, this you have to know, that you and I, we made this such perfect bliss. That second that we held on to, just for one last kiss.
So you spent time in Iraq.
I did.
So you said what,
And
just
Afghanistan.
over 6 months.
It was about 6 months, yeah. Back then.
And you wrote that song while you were there.
I was, yeah. I had my guitar, and I had the luxury of having my guitar, and I sat down for about, it took me like an hour to write.
So you're allowed to bring your guitar.
I was then, yeah. It was.
You were then.
I was then, yeah.
Did that make you stand out on bass?
I typically played like behind closed doors, you know, or like near my room or like my little hut that I stayed in. But yeah, it wasn't too bad. Everyone else there was pretty accepting of everything, and yeah, whatever luxury I was able to bring, they were able to bring like their own luxury. So
What would most people bring as a luxury?
I mean, you have like your video games, you have like your music, your stereo system, you know, whatever the comforts from home that they can fit in their little box.
Was there anything that like you envied? Like, oh, you brought this.
Not really. I had my guitar. That was good. Yeah.
You just needed that one thing.
Just that one thing.
So you spent roughly 6 months there, and then what? You went back home?
I went back home for about a year, and I did. I was in Virginia Beach, Virginia. Stayed there for about a year, and I ended up going back out the door to Afghanistan.
And how long were you there?
About 8.5 months.
So you were in Iraq and Afghanistan.
That's true. Yeah.
Was there a preference? Like,
Oh my god. So there's a huge I don't really know about preference. There's just a huge difference in like lifestyle between both countries. So Iraq, at the time that I was there in 2010, it was rather commercial, really built up. And you could get anything you wanted. Anything within a matter of a day. It was that easy, you know? And so I go to Afghanistan, and I'm in the middle of the mountains. It was like the wild, wild west. Like,
what do you mean by that?
between the level of violence and just like how everything was kind of like outdated. I look at a site in the town, you know, from where I was, and they're still building the houses out of mud and sticks, you know, and then they have vehicles, of course, but everything else is just kind of dilapidated and 40 years behind. And so, I mean, that's just their culture, though. That's just how they live. Now, I can't really say much with that. You know, it's go to Mexico and you still have people using stucco and adobe. So there, it was just mud and sticks to build the huts. And in Afghanistan, it took me 6 months, almost 6 months, to get a shipment of things that I needed to be able to do my job, which was plumbing and HVAC and any kind of construction materials. Like, it took me 6 months to get anything.
Right.
You know, so huge difference. You had to make do with what you had. Even if you had nothing, you had to make something, you know, and I always made do. And we always did. Like, we all did. There was about 6 of us there on that one site. And as far as CBs go. And
CBs?
CBs, construction types.
Okay.
Yeah. Electricians, plumbers, structural engineers, builders, welders, equipment operators, mechanics, and like surveyors, engineering aides type deal.
Okay.
So, yeah. And I'm a plumber and HVAC tech.
So you spent 8 months?
Yeah, about 8.5, yeah.
8.5?
From January
And then
until September.
you went home?
I went home. I finally went home.
How long did you spend there?
At home?
Yeah.
So I got home about, September of 2012, and I ended up leaving Virginia in March to go to Texas for 3 months to go to school for the Navy to learn more about my job as an HVAC tech, doing like trig, physics, calculus, stuff like that for HVAC, you know, theory and everything. And then I went to California for about 3.5 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you ended up here. So how'd you end up in South Korea?
So I spent 3.5 years in California. I went to Japan twice, Okinawa and Yokosuka, Japan. I did 2 deployments there, both 6 months apiece. And just that, like the rotation, you know, like the year home, 6 months out. From the time that I got there and the time that I left, that was just kind of how it happened. You know, 2 fexes, I guess 2 field exercises and 2 deployments. And I was given a choice when I had to leave. It was Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, and JinHae, South Korea. And so I'm fair-skinned folk, don't really do well in the sun. And everyone was just like, my dad, he was like, go to Korea. Listen to me, boyo, go to Korea. And I was just like, all right, go to Korea.
And you haven't regretted it.
No, I've been loving it here ever since. I've had the best time of my life here. You know, the work is very hard. It's very demanding, you know, because it's something that I'm not used to. But given enough time, I'll be all right. You know, the after party, so to speak, is where I make my money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your drink of choice?
My drink of choice. Well, I usually go for beer, but I make a killer Moscow Mule.
And what is that?
A Moscow Mule. Bear with me, if you will. So, it's a hand-beaten copper mug. Think about it. Sit in the freezer. It's nice and crisp. You have the condensation running out when you take it out of the freezer. It's nice and cold, frosty. All right, you get
smooth.
Shaved ice. You get your shaved ice. You put it in the mug. Just a handful will do. You get your bitters. You take your bitters, you pour it over the ice. You take that, you put your hand over the mug. You shake it around a couple times. You dump the ice out. You put
Fuck the ice.
You put brand new ice in. So the ice and the bitters, of course, will melt. And you'll have the residual bitters actually inside the mug. That's all the bitters you need. You put the fresh ice in. You get a shot and a half of Tito's handmade vodka. Tito's from Austin, Texas, actually. Delicious. It's like low middle shelf.
Scrumptious.
Oh, decadent, if you will. And you put a shot and a half of that. You get some Bundaberg ginger beer. Non-alcoholic.
Sexy.
Bundaberg, it's Australian ginger beer. You do maybe 3/4 of a bottle of that. You get a lime. You quarter it. You take the lime, the quarter lime that you have, you squeeze it in, and you put the rind in. You stir it up, and there you have it, a Moscow Mule. You put a copper straw in.
Copper straw?
I have copper straws.
Oh shit!
Come to my house, man. I'll make you a fucking Moscow Mule that'll take your pants off.
Right on.
What? Other than
the proof is in the pudding.
In the pudding. What?
He doesn't have pants on now.
Yeah. None of us are wearing pants.
I think those are chubbies. I'm not really sure.
So you're living in JinHae.
I'm like right outside.
The wondrous city of JinHae.
Which is Phil's hometown.
It's great. It's
Are you enjoying it there?
I love it. It's quiet. It's peaceful.
It's quaint.
It's very quaint. It's green. The air is crisp and clear, and it's clean. I look up and I see mountains covered in green. I look around and I see cherry blossom trees in the spring. They're pink and white. It's beautiful. But any other time, it's just green. It's a lot of nature. It's, like he said, it's very quaint.
Yeah.
And then on the occasional time you come to Changwon downtown.
Yeah.
Occasionally.
When I want to lose myself, I can end up coming. That's what,
Like
like
a
twice a
weekend.
weekend.
In the moment. In the movement.
Yeah. I'll end up coming home around 5 in the morning.
Are you a gamer?
Oh, well, yes, I am.
Sounds like it with girls.
Oh, come on.
There we go.
What's your game of choice these days?
The Legend of Zelda. Since 1988, I will always be
I know
the
that
savior
game.
Zelda.
of Hyrule.
I know that game. Kind of old
What do
when that came out.
Yeah. What do you think about Breath of the Wild?
It's the best game yet. So between
Is it better than the original?
Ocarina of Time, or what do you mean the original?
Link to the Past.
A Link to the Past? Oh, hands down, easy. Yes. So
I have no idea what you guys are talking about.
Yeah.
Video games.
I know Zelda.
Is it better than Ocarina of Time?
Yes, for its time. Yes, Ocarina of Time set a standard. It set a staple. It was the pinnacle of its time. Every single game that has come out after Ocarina of Time, for Zelda purposes in it, you know what I'm saying, has been compared to Ocarina of Time. Breath of the Wild is a game of its own. It wipes the floor. It really does.
Yeah.
It really does. I've put maybe 200 hours in, and I'm 30% of the way through.
So you're talking about video games or
Yeah.
like Xbox?
Just
or?
this one. Nintendo. All Nintendo.
You have the Wii.
I have the
U?
Wii. I have the Wii U, the Wii, the Nintendo 64, the SNES, the NES.
You have a
the Game Boys.
64?
I have everything.
Here?
No. I know.
I had a Wii here and
He has a Wii now.
I broke a TV with it, so doing bowling.
You didn't use the wrist wrap.
Yeah, it wasn't me actually; it was somebody else. But
You can blame them.
But how do we get into video games?
Here's a
asked me.
segue.
He just asked me.
All right,
Yeah.
I know his love for
but you have access
Zelda.
to it here.
Oh yeah, I have my Wii U. I'm about to get a Nintendo Switch, and I'm a big collector of like Nintendo things and just video games, like nostalgic video games. So
So how do you compare South Korea to Afghan and Iraq?
There is no comparison.
No.
There really isn't. Afghan and Iraq are two completely different beasts. I can live here comfortably. And I say that with everything that's going on here in Korea. I can live here comfortably.
Could you fix any air conditioning?
Yes, of course.
Okay. I'll come over to my house later this week.
All right.
So it's pretty Western here.
It is.
Say, right?
It's very much so built up.
I'm not saying that. Like, I think Afghan and obviously Iraq is obviously a big difference in here.
They're both third world countries. I mean, just in general, yeah. There's like, I would even compare like South Korea to the US maybe 25 years ago. Yeah. They're still a little behind. They're coming up, but they're still a little behind.
So how long are you looking to spend in South Korea?
As long as I can, 3 years plus.
Really?
Yeah, I love it here.
So in your first 6 months here, you're really enjoying things.
I've been rather lucky meeting the right people, being at the right place at the right time, and I've made a lot of really good friends here, and I'm having the greatest, like this is the best time I've ever had in my life.
Not here on the podcast, though.
Yeah, you know. This is great, don't get me wrong.
It's a good time. We're having fun.
I wouldn't say we're friends, yeah.
We're having fun.
So you're enjoying JinHae.
Yeah, I am. I've been to...
Do you have that option? Can you like
move around?
Can you say I want to stay here for 3 years, or
I can, yeah.
You can?
So I put
exclusively in JinHae.
Well, I mean, just in that base, yeah.
Yeah.
So like my current duty station is Public Works JinHae. I was only supposed to be here for about 1 year, 12 months. That's all I was really allotted for. But I can put in a request to extend 1 year to make it a total of 2 years. And being that this is my shore duty, I'm not deploying, I'm staying here, I can put in for a total of 3 years.
Seems like they need you here, though.
I do. They already approved me for 1 year, so I'll be here for 2 years. Next February, I'll be putting in for my 3rd year.
Okay.
And is there a certain time frame you have to do in the Navy? Like,
what do you mean?
As a contract worker?
I have no idea. I'm from Canada, so I have no idea.
It's contract, right?
Like kind of.
If you sign up for Army, Navy,
this contract.
Do you have to do so many years?
Yes. So my first contract was 5 years, and I re-enlisted for another 3-ish years, and this is my 3rd re-enlistment. I re-enlisted on St. Patrick's Day of this year for 5 years. So you can choose the time between 1 year to 6 years of how much time you want to re-enlist. But depending on your job that you choose initially in the military will depict how, like, your minimum time that you need, like required to serve. So, yeah, mine required to serve is 5. So I re-enlisted twice.
So twice is what, 2 years?
Oh, twice. It was 3 years, 4 years, and then like another 5 years. So I'm at my 9-year mark right now, and that'll hit my 9-year mark here in September.
So if you wanted to get out,
I'd have to wait until my contract's up 5 years from now.
5 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
At my 13.5-year mark, I want to say.
Okay.
St. Paddy's Day of like 2022.
St. Paddy's.
St. Paddy's Day.
All right. And what do you think about the Changwon area in general?
Oh, it's great. I mean,
JinHae, Changwon, Masan.
my son's a little
easy. I lived there.
My son's great. What are you talking about, man?
My son's shit. JinHae till you die.
JinHae and Changwoner, where I like to spend most of my time. My son, it's mostly there just for business. It's a little rundown, but it's homely, if you will.
I feel like JinHae's picking up.
It is. Yeah. It's building up quick. It's the commerce there is just kind of booming at the moment. I mean, I consider my son, Changwon, and JinHae all the same, metropolitan area. Yeah. Minus when you go to a train station, you have to be very specific.
Do you think your job would be different if you were living in, say, Seoul area?
Hands down. Much different, yeah.
Tension-wise, or?
No.
I don't want to go too much into it, but...
Nah, sorry. I mean, everyone knows what's going on in North Korea and South Korea. Mom, Dad, everything's fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. You're not going to die.
I'm on a damn podcast, for Christ's sake.
Definitely the best area to be in if you're in South Korea.
That is true. Like the southern portion of South Korea. the farthest away from Seoul, more or less.
Yeah.
But
But there is a difference. Do they have the Navy in Seoul?
no, this is the only Navy
That's what I
in
thought, so.
South Korea.
I guess you can't compare, so.
I mean, I could get stationed up there, but I'd be attached to a different unit type deal. Mostly, like Army and Korean Army and whatnot.
So you're enjoying your time here? Love it.
That's great.
Looking to spend 2 or 3 years here.
Yeah.
Drinking a couple Moscow mules.
I got a couple down.
And you did do a third song for us, but one of your strings broke. So.
Yeah.
I was
But,
tuning it and it popped.
But we might close out the show with part of that song.
Hey, that'd be cool. Yeah, I played a little bit of it.
To close out the show, this is Sean White with his instrumental before he breaks the string.
Part of it. Right?
At least part of it.
So if
My bad,
people
guys.
want to get in contact with you, how can they get in contact with you?
So I'm on Facebook, Sean M. White, SEAN, M as in Michael, White as in the colour. Or there's my Instagram, which is Thaddeus Cornbuckle 1089. Thaddeus with 1D, Cornbuckle, all one word, 1089. And you'll find me there.
All right. And Phil, if people want to get in contact with you.
Phil Way Stan and on Instagram and Facebook, Philip Wayne Stanley.
All right. And people want to get in contact with me, too bad.
Take
But
that
you can find
Suck
me
it.
anything Changwoner.
at
or,
Changwoner.
Yeah, Scott at Changwoner or at helloscott.com or...
HelloScott.com?
Yeah.
That's
I
hilarious.
have no idea. Hello, Scott.
Not many people do. So.
That's too funny, man.
But, yeah.
Thanks again for listening, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. It was a pleasure.
Thanks, Sean, for being on the show.
Thanks for having me here.
And what was the name of the song before you broke a string?
There actually wasn't just a name. I'm just going to call it
Untitled 2.
Untitled or
Two.
Title.
Instrumental. Actually, no, we can call it Pop the String.
Pop the string. I like it.
So this is Pop the String. Thanks for tuning in, and
Yeah.
we'll catch you next time on K-Pod.
Have a great night.
Aye, skull. Drink up.
Thanks for tuning in to K-Pod. Stay tuned for our next episode.